Have you ever had an idea or a vision or an invention, something like that, right? Where you have this concept and you know it's going to be great. Like you just know it's going to be successful, but you didn't start it. Or maybe you were a little nervous or you just didn't have the courage to go out and do it. Me too. I think we've all been there. But today, on the first episode of Follow the Cloud, I want to share with you all how we got to this point. Let's roll.
I'm up in the clouds, I ain't coming down. Nah, never. Don't follow the crowd, I follow the cloud, Follow, the cloud, follow the cloud, follow the cloud, I'm up in the clouds, I ain't coming down. Nah, never. Don't follow the crowd, I follow the cloud, follow, the cloud, follow the cloud.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm David D. I'm your host, and this is the Follow the Cloud podcast. I want to welcome you from wherever you're listening to, wherever you quarantined up at right now. I just want to say welcome to the room. I want to first thank today's sponsor, God. Appreciate everything you've done for me, and I thank you for this idea. I thank you for everything that you're doing here, Lord, and I'm just giving you full access to take this thing wherever you want to go with it. All right, that's first and foremost. So before I talked about ideas, right? Starting and sometimes us not having the confidence or whatever it may be to get things started. That brought me to today's title. This episode is called Start Ugly. What do you mean by that? Tell you what I mean. So I can tell y'all this podcast was probably supposed to drop like 3 months ago. Easy 3 months. Very, very easy 3 months. Minimum, right? I actually got the word for the podcast about 9 months ago. But I really dragged my feet. And here's why. At first I dragged my feet because I didn't think that like I'd be capable to do it. The other reason why I dragged my feet is because I was like, well, I don't want to do it until it's perfect. So I started, trying to think, okay, well, how would I do this? Where would I go? Who would I record? Blah, 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 blah. All these things that didn't matter. The deal is this, y'all. When we get an idea or when God gives us like something that we have to get out, he's put it in us so that it can get out. And when we sit here and just sit on it, really, it dies. And so here we are, not dying. Come on now. And yeah, so we got to start ugly, man. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be pretty, but we just got to go ahead and do it. So let me tell y'all where the inception of this came from. I was in a season of life where I was like on this really, really dope journey of finding out who I was in God's eyes, right? And not just what the world had taught me. And so it was really, really dope, man. I went on like this just a crazy journey, literally all across the country, just about. And how I got to these different places or how I got to experience these different things is actually a pretty cool story. So that's where we start here. So I was in a time where I was seeking out, okay, Lord, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Who do you say I am? This is what I know. I know this type of lifestyle. What you talking about over there? Like, honestly, right? And so I watched this sermon series. Well, no, I was watching the sermon series, but I watched this sermon, and it was actually very, very eye-opening in the moment. I didn't realize that. So the first thing you got to know is going into this sermon, I was a little like I said, I was a little spaced out, right? Trying to figure out my way. It seems like it's obvious. Sometimes it feels that way, right? And then other times it seems like, he's not even saying anything. I'm like, hey, man, I'm down here. Hello. I thought I paid my phone bill. I can't hear anything. Hello. And what happens is we got to be mindful of a couple things, y'all. Sometimes it seems like he's radio silent. Other times it seems like he's really, really loud. But in all of those times, he's always moving. That's the biggest thing we got to realize. So I'm preparing to, go to this next space or go to this next level, go to this next step. And I come across this sermon series that details the story of Moses leading the people of Israel out of Egypt, right? So very, very short backstory. People of Israel, they were slaves in Egypt for like a long time, I think like 400 something years, something like that. Study for yourself. But it's a really, really good story, honestly, and it comes in Exodus through Numbers, a little journey through there. And so in Numbers chapter 9, it was talking about how a cloud appeared. And so the people of Israel, we know that they came out of Egypt. They had to, Moses used his staff to part the Red Sea. My boy had a mean stick, didn't he? Part the Red Sea, and then, they come through, all that good stuff. We know how that story goes. And so moving forward, they're in this season where God is getting ready to take them to the promised land, right? Probably similar to your life, right? We've all been in a season where, it was really, really crappy at one point. And then, we got through a hurdle or we got over something. And, now it's like, okay, bet. God is getting ready to take me to that next spot. So this is where we find them. And I thought it was so interesting at the time that, and this is how the Bible describes it, anytime the cloud would move, the people would move. Anytime the cloud would stay put, the people would stay put. And I mean, like, this was like consistent. So like if they went on a Monday and the cloud was there and it was just chilling, hanging over, like, okay, good, we in here, right? But then if they wake up on Tuesday and the cloud is moving, it's like, hey, we gotta go, pack it up, let's roll. I'll play you in cars tomorrow. You know what I mean? And so just the discipline in there, like, it really, really started to shape my mind without me even realizing it. So it's interesting in there how we can look to so many things and we can look to so many different resources to try and gain direction, when really we should really just be focusing on our cloud, right? The cloud is going to always give us direction. The cloud is always going to tell us where we're supposed to be. The cloud is always going to tell us what we're supposed to say. But a lot of times we take our eyes off the cloud, honestly. And so it was a really, really dope thing for me to think out loud. It's like, man, what a way to live, right? No matter where this thing goes, I know I'm doing the right thing, right? As long as I follow it. So that means that if the cloud picks up and moves on a Wednesday, I'm picking up and moving on a Wednesday, I know I'm in the will of God. Bet that's a good move. If the cloud be like, hey, chill out right here, right? Don't go this way. But man, it looks really nice over there. I said, don't go that way. You ain't see me move, I ain't move, right? So you don't move. And I just thought, like, man, that's really dope to be guided in such a way. So what's crazy is I'm watching this sermon series, right? And to me, at that time, I'm just watching stuff all the time on YouTube, following whatever. And I didn't realize at the time, but that thing was literally shaping, like, who I am today. Fully. That one message was shaping my entire mode of thinking. And so what ended up happening after that is I kind of used that as my mantra. Like, I literally adapted that to my life. And like everything was, oh, I'm following my cloud. I'm following my cloud. Like, God would get up and he would tell me, like, hey, get up and go visit this place 3 hours away. I'd be like, all right. And I would show up and the people there would be like, hey, where are you visiting from? And I'd tell them, they'd be like, what? You came all the way here just for that? I'm like, yeah, that's what he said do. I'm following my cloud. That might be 3 hours away to a church, or like 17 hours away to another church. And hey, man, where you came from? Where? Why? Because he told me to. I'm following my cloud. Like, what was crazy is in one season, him telling me to go 30 minutes down the street to this one particular place seemed really crazy. Because I'd be like, man, I don't know nobody over there. What you talking about? Wait, what? Go over where? Who's over there? Who all over there? Right? That seemed crazy in one season. But then in a completely different season, when he told me to get up and go visit somewhere like 18 hours away, that 30-minute trip ain't seemed like nothing at that point, right? So as you begin to follow the direction of the cloud, you start to notice that what seems like a big hurdle at first is actually just a small step. and really a half a step in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, man, the cloud really just started to lead me like tremendously. And I mean, like, I knew it was the cloud because it was stuff I was not trying to do. I remember I had a coworker who was like, beefing with me. And, at that particular time, I wasn't where I was here today. I was working on it. I was following, but I was, hey, you say the wrong thing. I'm gonna get, hey, right? But I remember, I was following my cloud, and the cloud was like, hey, I need you to go say good morning to that person. I'm like, I ain't trying to do that, man. They always tripping. And I had to be reminded of all the times where the cloud came through. Like, I had to be reminded, like, hey, you remember when I told you to do this and it worked out? Hey, you remember when I told you to go this way and it worked out? Remember when I told you don't move this way and it worked out? So I started doing that. Would you believe that became one of like my really good friends at work? Crazy story. So it was just a small dose of being obedient to what the cloud was saying to do. And what you got to realize is, in the story in the Bible, that cloud was literally taking them on a journey to safety. Like, it had a promised land at the end of it, right? God sends us places with our end in mind already. So we get so focused on what's in front of us, right? What's in front of me is, hey man, you don't have this, you don't have that. Anybody gonna listen to that, right? But on the end of that is obedience. On the end of that is me being where he wants me to be. And on the end of that is me being where I'm supposed to be. So I want to encourage you right there. It doesn't matter what you see in front of you. Look past that. Look past that. In fact, ignore it completely, because where you're going, that ain't even going to be important. Where you're going, that's going to be the smallest thing. So like, if God told you to start a business, right, or he told you to start something, and you're sitting there worried about, oh, well, I don't have the funds for it, or I don't have, all the ideas for it, you worry about the wrong thing. Like, when you get down the road and success, meets you, you're not even going to be worried about that. Just follow your cloud, right? And so after a while, anytime the cloud would move, I wouldn't even think twice. So where in the beginning, I was like, hey man, that's a weird idea. I'm cool on that. Then it graduated to, all right, that's kind of strange, but all right, I'll entertain you. To, man, that is kind of crazy, but you did it before, so I'm all right, cool, this thing works out. To eventually, it was like, oh, you said do it, I'm on it. Not even thinking about it. We ain't got nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about here, because I already have history that cloud thing works out. Anytime the cloud tell me to move, I'm moving. Anytime the cloud tell me to be still, I'm chilling. Like, and you got to realize one thing as well, right? Because I know a lot of people, they have struggles with being still, right? I know I'm one. So I ain't the only one out here. But I want to tell y'all this, man. When you're being still, it's actually working against your body's natural movement. Your body naturally wants to react. Your body naturally wants to move, right? It's tough for people to be still. You ever seen somebody trying to be still and then they start clicking a pen, or they start, shaking their knee or their leg or something like that? Like, they just can't be still. It's natural. Your body naturally wants to move. So when you're making yourself be still, it's actually exhibiting more power than moving like your body wants to. So many people get it twisted. They think that, oh, I'm going to show my power by movement. I'm going to show my power by doing this or doing that. No, you'll find more power in stillness. Stillness requires more energy. Stillness requires more thinking. And stillness requires more obedience. So you'll actually find true power when you go against what your nature is telling you to do. So that's another episode. We'll save that. That's another episode. So God had me following his cloud. And at that time, I didn't realize that would be the theme for my life for the better part of like 3 years and counting, right? That ended up being my theme. And so when he initially told me to do the podcast, I was hesitant. I started to have thoughts of like, what if they don't listen? Or, what if it doesn't blow up? Lord, where am I going to get this money from? Like, this stuff costs money. Where am I getting this from, right? What if I don't know what I'm doing? True story, right? Blah, 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 blah. And so be encouraged with this, right? There's a million reasons why you can't do something. Millions. Like, millions of reasons why you can't do something. But when the cloud speaks, or when the cloud directs, there's only one reason to do it. The cloud told you to do it. So today, I'm starting off ugly. I'm not in like a high-tech studio, right? I am literally in my closet. And I would show y'all, for the camera people, I'm not going to flip it around because, it's a mess in here. If you're listening on one of the different platforms, you can't see it anyway. But it's a mess in here. It is. I got my clothes in one spot, my prayer stuff behind me. I literally have a board hanging up above my door with directions on this podcast. It's a mess in here, right? Humble beginnings, right? But even in the midst of all of that, I know it's not perfect by any means, but it's precisely what God wants to do at the same time. We can't be the reason why someone else doesn't get what God has for them. So while you're sitting there concerned about, my business might not be successful, or this idea might not pop, or, I don't have the funds to do X, Y, Z, or, I don't know where I'm going to set this up, or all those millions of reasons why you shouldn't do it. You got to remember that what he has placed inside of you, somebody else is waiting on. So while you're sitting there on that idea, while you're sitting there, scared to start because it isn't pretty or it doesn't look the way you want it to look, somebody would really appreciate your ugly start. Like sitting here, COVID haircut or lack thereof, like all of that. Somebody is waiting for you to start what it is you're supposed to start. Somebody is waiting for you to follow your cloud. They're not waiting for a perfect finish or a perfect start. Like, God will take care of the rest of that later on. They're just waiting for you to start because your business might impact that person that's going to be inspired to do their own. But they're not going to catch it if you don't go do what you're supposed to do, right? And so what I started to realize in this journey of following the cloud is the more time I waste by not starting whatever the instruction is, the further away the cloud gets. That also is another episode. But not only is it the further away that the cloud gets, the more out of the will I am. And when I'm out of will, when I'm out of his will, I'm missing somebody who I'm supposed to impact, somebody who I'm supposed to touch. Like, I'm not getting that person because I'm not where I'm supposed to be, right? So understand this, the longer you wait, the longer someone who needed that inspiration has to wait. And I'm saying the same thing to you. The longer you wait until your idea is perfect, like I did, right? The longer I waited until this thing was perfect, or the longer you wait until you finally have enough money, or the longer you wait until the building comes through, or the longer you wait for, COVID to be over, or the longer whatever it is, the longer the person that you have to impact has to wait, and the person that they have to impact has to wait, and the person they have to impact, it keeps going, right? Your yes and your obedience is attached to somebody else's. So just understand that, man. You got to put yourself to the side, take fear out of the driver's seat, and let faith take over. I'm literally in a closet right now. Literally in a closet. Ain't no clothes behind me because I got them all over there. But I'm in a closet right now. So where can you start? Like, where are you right now where it's like, all right, I'm going to start right here. Where's your closet? Where are you going to start? Because where you start is the same place that somebody else can begin as well. So I just want to tell y'all, man, let faith take over. Your cloud is there, and someone is absolutely positively waiting on your yes. So yeah, it may not be pretty right now, but start ugly. Your cloud awaits. Make sure you all follow us on IG is 2, follow the cloud. And let us know what you think. Let us know feedback. If you have any prayer requests, I'm absolutely praying up out here. So feel free to add those into the DM, or you can email me, whatever it may be. Hit me up. Let me know what you think, y'all. I can't wait to see you for the next episode. I'm actually really excited about it because it's going to be about tune in. See you next time.
I'm up in the clouds, I ain't coming down. Never. Don't follow the crowd, I follow the cloud. Follow, the cloud. Follow the cloud. Follow the cloud. I'm up in the clouds, I ain't coming down. Never. Don't follow the follow, follow.